So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Eazy Conversations. Thanks a lot to everyone who listened to the last episode featuring the homie Matt and I. Hope you enjoyed listening to us list off our upcoming plans for the summer that we may have gotten into a few of them since the last episode, last time we recorded. And yeah, just giving you some ideas of inspiration, perhaps, of stuff to dabble with for this summer. So now for episode 160 of Eazy Conversations. I'm extremely excited, of course, to be back in the studio virtually with the homie Matt. So what's up to the people?
What's going on, everybody? Hope you're having a great summer right now. Excited to be here with you today, Eric, to do the pod. We're going to be talking about two highly anticipated shows that came out this year, two of the big shows. So why don't you let everyone know what those two shows are, Eric, and we'll get her going.
Definitely. So yeah, this year has already been a massive year for television. I'd say like halfway through, we got a lot of heavy hitters that have come out, and we're gonna dissect two of them. The Last of Us is second season, and also Andor's second and final season, coincidentally. So yeah, I mean, gonna start off with The Last of Us, I think, and then head into Andor. Two shows that I was really looking forward to that both had multiple years off in between their first seasons. The Last of Us came out in 2023, Andor 2022. Both top shows in their inaugural seasons for both of us, I believe. And with their second seasons, now we'll get into Last of Us. The pressure, I think, to live up to expectations obviously was high based on what the first season was. So The Last of Us, just a bit of preamble, I guess, is one of the all-time highest grossing, most beloved video games of all time. So when they came out with the sequel, I think they had the same expectations. And full spoilers, by the way, this episode. Just going to dive straight into a spoiler right off the rip. So there's a big shift in the games where you're really changing character perceptions or perspectives by having the main character, who's the big draw for your show and game, be killed off quite early. Now, I wasn't expecting this big turn in our main characters in the show. So when they killed off Pedro Pascal in episode 2, I was definitely flabbergasted and couldn't believe they were going this route that early. I feel like there's a movement online of people that wanted them to stretch things out and bring that to be an end of season thing. But I think it made the show, it made it better, really, to take out my favorite character was Pedro in season 1, Joel. Thought he was a badass, didn't see this coming at all. And that's something that really elevates the season for me in the big picture, is that they're not afraid to take those risks and give us a completely different show going forward now with Ellie being our full-on main character and her quest for revenge against Abby, who we have not gotten that much of in this season, but it will be a massive part of season 3.
Right.
So those are my opening thoughts, really, that they took a huge risk, because this could have gone one of two ways. People turn on this show immediately because like everyone loves Pedro Pascal. Other than video game players, no one could have seen this coming. And there's been a lot of criticism towards Bella Ramsey from online for her portrayal of Ellie, which I completely disagree with. Or there's the route that I'm going down. I'm wondering which one you're on, Matt. That I like that they took that swing and are making it known that, hey, nobody's safe out here. So those are my opening thoughts on season 2. Gutsy, but I respect it and like what they did in this show.
Those are some great thoughts, Eric. My opening thoughts are ultimately this season, though I didn't like it as much as season 1, I really enjoyed season 2. I think it's way overly hated online for stupid reasons, and
Agreed.
people are trashing the show that probably haven't even watched it. They just know about it through the video game. I just like the fact that they took risks, like you said, Eric. Huge gut punch to me, like when Pedro went to, and when Joel got killed in episode 2. I was like, oh shit, this show just completely changed now. I thought maybe because Pedro's schedule was so busy, but no, like this is the way they go in the games too. I was never bored watching this season. Watched one episode a week. Like I followed it every week. It was like, it's only 7 episodes, super quick in and out. Every time an episode ended, I was like, oh, that's all that happened in this episode. Like I felt like not a lot happened in season 2. I thought maybe even more could have happened. because it was so short, but maybe that's just because there were 7 episodes plus one of the episodes was a flashback one, so that didn't really move the story along. I wanted to know more about the world, Eric, like especially like the Jeffrey Wright stuff, which we can get into later with the WLF, that like militant group in Seattle. Yes, ultimately this is a revenge season, which was kind of cool. You know, who doesn't love a good revenge story? I'm gonna bring it back to the first 2 episodes. Eric, we get a lot of stuff at the settlement. You know, years have passed. I should say, not a year, and 5, and that was a cool dynamic. You know, Joel, his brother, the council, the stuff with Jesse and Dina. And you're thrown right in, and you get into the politics of it. And they don't really waste any time, because in episode 2, it gets attacked by this massive horde. I thought that was pretty fun to see, Eric, like the carnage. Yeah, what do you think of those first 2 episodes? Were you like locked in, like first 2 episodes right before Joel dies? Did you like all that settlement action?
Oh, 100%. Like, I love seeing the parts in like zombie movies or shows like Walking Dead where there is a sense of community and everything seems to be going well. Like, they've reestablished a new world order. The thing is, you know, it's never gonna last, right? Otherwise, like it would. Yeah, sure, we like seeing the council vote on things and then going to forage out for edible mushrooms, but it loses its appeal after a certain amount of time. Like, you need shit to hit the fan, right, for us to be hooked in and not really know who's safe and who's not. So you needed that big showdown to happen. Again, didn't think that'd be in episode 2, like this massive battle where there's so many casualties. They have to kind of rebuild from there. That seemed like, again, an end of like a Battle of Blackwater Bay episode 9 kind of thing. But I loved it. I think episode 2 is the best episode of the season for sure. Up there for the series, in my opinion. And then you're just seeing like the dynamic between Ellie and Joel in there too, where she's really in her rebellious era. Yeah. When he steps in for her at the dance there, when the guy Seth calls them like a slur for being lesbians, Joel shoves him to the ground. She's like, "What are you doing? Like, I had it under control," or whatever. She's just not really appreciative or grateful for anything that he does. And what I liked about that dynamic is that we then see her deal with her grief later in the season. We're like, "Oh, I wish I didn't treat him this way," and with the flashback, you're seeing different perspectives too on those events and what led to that animosity. Because I thought it was a bit jarring that that's their vibe in season 2 after season 1.
Yeah.
But it was explained and makes sense. Like the events that happened with Eugene and then Ellie questioning everything that Joel's done and said to and for her. So the more I'm talking about it right now, like the more I'm appreciating the season, to be honest. Because like you, I feel like I liked season 1 more overall, but there was a lot of good build up and a lot of that in character development, and a lot of that was through those first 2 episodes with Joel, who is still my favorite character. Gutted that he was killed, and I thought the homeboy Tommy Boy was gonna join him when that unit of a clicker had him pinned down and the flamethrower was losing heat down to the last minute there. And glad that he made it through, because Tommy, like, yeah, he's not a character who really does or says a whole lot, but there's something about him that, like, I just find him cool, and couldn't really have stomached losing both the Miller Lite bros in the same episode. That would have been rough. So yeah, but do you agree with me though? It's episode 2 best one. Like that battle sequence was unreal, and then obviously you have the Joel storyline too, helping the ungrateful Abby at the same time there. But just a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah. Also in episode 2, like the whole storm coming dynamic, and Joel and like the 2 parties that are out and they're trying to coordinate with each other on their horses, and then like Joel seeks refuge with Abby's group, come. Well, he actually saves Abby as well, which is cool. Yeah. Because she ends up killing him. But Abby's group dynamic, that was kind of interesting. You don't know what's going on at first. She's out on her own revenge story, which she's super justified, by the way. Like I would do the same thing if I was her, probably. Like, her dad's just gunned down, like, in cold blood. Anyways, that's cool with her group dynamic, at the chalet, at the little Outlook. And then when Ellie gets there, it's like, holy shit. Like, when Ellie got there, I'm like, she's not going to take them all out and rescue. Like, there's no way she's that strong or, like, commanding it. She's still super young, right? So that was what happened was pretty realistic, actually. Like, yeah, you lost. Like, anyways, Abby, I liked her character, Eric. I like that actress, Catherine or Caitlin Devers.
Yeah.
Maybe Caitlin. And she was good. You've seen her a lot when she was younger, and like she was in the show Justify when she was younger. She's becoming a really good actress. She's in that movie Booksmart, I believe. She's good in that. That now where it leads at the end of season 2. Now I understand why we were shown Abby, because I think season 3 is pivoting to her, but we'll get there when we get there. But her in episode 2, she was really cool. Like, she was like torturing Joel, which was rough to watch. She was like a stone cold killer, and even her grip was shot at what she was doing. I like seeing all that. I thought that was great television, right? Like, yes, movies are awesome, but like TV like this, like in episode 2, that's like, it's unbeatable. And we'll talk about more about. Well, we're talking about great TV all episode, but it's moments like that, Eric, where I'm like, damn, this is, you lose track of time and you're so into the show, Yeah, no, episode 2 was good. And then the whole, like, after that, Ellie wakes up from the hospital. She wants to go on a revenge. Like, she seeks approval, doesn't get approval, goes anyways. The journey, I like journeys like that, but I felt maybe not enough happened every episode, maybe for 3, 4, 5. What did you think about that? Did you like the pace in 3, 4, 5, like the journey to Seattle?
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I was just gonna say those 3 episodes. There's probably not a whole lot that happened to justify that spanning over 3 episodes. Maybe every episode there was like a little shootout, like a. Me, it's like, how many freaking wolves are out there? It's like always this like souped up group of elites, Navy SEALs out there. There's like hundreds of them. So yeah, I feel like every episode ended with like, oh, I saw them over there. Then they start firing off. They got these military grade AR rifles, like flashbangs and everything. So yeah, I feel like it did get repetitive. What it did though, I feel like this again is kind of a setup season for season 3, where we're introduced to these different sects, like the ones who, like the Robin Hoods out in the woods there with like they got a whole little religious cult going on. I feel like they are gonna play a bigger role in season 3 because we really didn't get any answers about them. They're just another cult that's out there that is at odds with the wolves. And then Ellie is kind of just like, in the wolves' minds, Ellie is like small fries. They did what they wanted to do against them, which was kill Joel, and now they don't really care about that community. So Ellie, I think at some point is going to be in favor with those freaks. But, and then like you said, the Jeffrey Wright character, just sprinkled in there a little. There's not a whole lot that we know about him yet, but he's going to be fleshed out more in season 3 and potentially become like the true villain of the show, right? Like I could see how Abby, we start to feel for her and understand where she's coming from. I don't know if I'll ever really be Team Abby guy, but I get the sense that that's what they're gonna try to do in season 3 is make us be Abby fans. That's right. So all that to say though, in 3, 4, 5, not a whole lot. It was like again like the will they won't they, or AKA is Dina just gonna give in and hook up with Ellie? Like the whole time I'm like, all right, I know this is coming. Yeah. Just how long is it gonna take, kind of thing. And then we had the homie. Jesse straight out of Beef come through, and so man, it's kind of embarrassing. I didn't even know it was him. I had to look him up and then see what he had been in, and it said like he's most well known for his role in Beef. It's like, no way, it was the idiot brother. He was I was a Jesse guy, to be honest. I thought he was cool and a good like part of the love triangle too with Dina and Ellie. Gutted to see him get clipped though at the end. Like I was literally thinking to myself at the end of episode 7, like, okay, Jesse's in the clear, like he'll be a good character for season 3, and he's dead. Like it was just tough stuff, but I mean, I guess those are my thoughts on 3, 4, 5 because I'm trying to think of what else happened. It's really, there's a predictable layer to it though, right? Like let's say Ellie and Dina were pinned down in like the train or the subway station by like 15 wolves. You're hearing the clicker sounds are coming and they're gonna save the day, right? So I was never really worried. Like, Ellie's in the clear. I didn't think they were gonna kill Dina too. You never know. But the fact that she's pregnant would have been tough. What were your thoughts on Dina out of the group? Like, did you like her as a new addition? She's an up and
I
coming
did. I did.
actress. I forget her name, but she's on the rise.
Yeah, didn't she play Dora the Explorer maybe? And she was
Really?
in maybe Alien Romulus.
Yeah, she was in Alien
Maybe
Romulus.
I might
Yeah.
be. I might be totally wrong. Anyways, I like the Dina character. I thought she was a good actress. Like she was great.
Mm-hmm.
She was like a welcome. Like the whole 3, 4, 5, where like not a lot of maybe action or plot movement happened, but a lot of relationship interaction stuff with Ellie and Dina happened, and that's where it shined. We can say those episodes were more character studies of those two characters. 3, 4, 5 were thrown into the whole WLF Jeffrey Wright group versus the Scars, I believe they're called, because they have the medieval group.
Right.
We're thrown into that conflict, which is cool because Ellie and Dina are just like bystanders, like playing cat and mouse games in the shadows, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that I did get repetitive a little bit, and I was happy when episode 6 was completely different and it was just flashbacks, which is a very emotional episode, by the way. But before I get to that, yeah, Dina, I enjoyed her character a lot. I think she's a good actress.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome addition to the show. But episode 6, kind of jarring in the sense that I was waiting for more story to happen, but then instead we got basically every year on Ellie's birthday what her and Joel did and the gifts she received and kind of like her maturing, right, Eric? And I thought it was very emotional and a welcome change of pace.
Yep.
For myself. What did you think, Eric?
Oh, yeah, I loved it. I thought it was great. And again, it answered a lot of our questions, like I mentioned earlier, about what happened with Eugene, Gail's husband. It was kind of speculated that Joel had a hand in putting him down just based on their dynamic. And then, yeah, like I said, it really, one of the main takeaways was it led to Ellie questioning Joel and the end of, and like I said when we did our Last of Us episode, I said that the end of season 1 was going to kind of set the scale for the dynamic between Joel and Ellie. And in this episode, we really saw it fleshed out where year after year she's questioning a little more. At the end of one of her birthdays, she sees like these fireflies in the woods, and he's like, "Oh, what is it?" She's like, "Oh, nothing." You just tell it's always been on her mind, and she hasn't really had the courage to ask. And then she finally, I think she just says it when they're on the porch. I think it's the night before he dies or something along those lines. Calls him out. I was glad that he didn't lie in that moment, and then it led to like that could have been the start of them rebuilding their trust and relationship, but ultimately we know what happened. So it also makes his death even more gut-wrenching in that we thought they had ended on really bad like we thought that he had died when they were still on bad terms, and little did we know that they're actually working towards improving their relationship. And I loved how the episode opened too with Tony Dalton, shout out Lalo Salamanca, as Joel's father, right, when he was young. And then their dynamic, and then just him saying like, I hope that when you have kids you do a little better than I did. And then Joel gets to say that line to Ellie, and then that's why I'm hoping or counting on Dina not dying, and then that they can hopefully live and Ellie can be a better parental figure to their either. I'm assuming they'll have a son. That's my guess, but if they both live, so that'd be my guess. But yeah. So no, I thought that was the second best episode of this season, after 2.
Yeah, I can't argue. I kind of agree with that actually. And then the last episode, which I didn't know this season would be so short. Like I was expecting 10 episodes, more story, but then maybe they're just following the game to a T. Episode 7, a lot of stuff finally happened. Shootouts, people dying. I just want to say there was a cool part I think in episode 5 when Ellie, the virus is airborne and the girl is slowly dying, and Ellie reveals that she's like, no, I'm immune, like I'm fine. Like that was pretty like cold and badass.
Love that scene.
Yeah, it was great, eh? And then that was fun. But episode 7, there's more deaths of Abby's group, and then Abby like fires at Ellie, and that's how it ends. Like we don't like what. I mean, she's dead. I think maybe she got hit and is gonna be wounded. I don't know. Did the bullet hit anything? Does she fire and it fades to black? I don't really remember. It's been a while.
So I don't think there's no way she killed Ellie. Like there's
no.
I think so. How it ends is Abby is pointing her gun at Ellie, and then the camera cuts to Ellie, and she just goes no, 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 and then it cuts to black, and you hear a gunshot. I would assume Abby
Oh,
like lifted her gun in the air, shot, or like moved it and shot right next to her. There's no chance she
okay,
literally just killed
okay,
Ellie, because then
right.
what that would mean for season three is if we're, and it's like I think the end of the season makes it pretty clear that we're now going to be following Abby's point of view. We're going back to Seattle day one, so we're moving a few days back in time. Going to see the same events just from different points of view, and I think that's how we're gonna get the other like the wolves and the scars fleshed out. But what would be the point of like season three ends? It brings us back to that moment. That's probably gonna be either the last episode of season three, but like there's 20 minutes left still, or the penultimate episode where the same moment and then we see what happens. But it would be quite
Mm,
anticlimactic if all it is okay, Abby shot Ellie, but now we just know a little more about Abby and we're like, yeah, shoot Ellie.
right.
You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
So
Maybe. Yeah.
like, I just don't want them to
Maybe
become
one episode.
friends. To be
Maybe.
honest, that's my only thing is I don't want Abby and Ellie to end as like, okay, I
Okay.
understand you.
Okay.
We're on the same side now. Like I hope that's not what happens, but
I maybe one episode of that, right? Instead of not the season, but just a whole episode of what Abby did during that day to lead to that moment. Um, that's a cool trick actually they do in movies a lot. I kind of like where they show like it's a Tarantino thing to do, right?
mm,
Show both sides of point of view of what happened leading to that moment. Would you be okay with an Abby led season three, like Abby all the time? I mean, that could be good because it keeps the show fresh, right? Each season has a different point of view. Like our main character is different in each season, basically, simply put, right? Would you be okay with that format, Eric? Is that the way the games go? Probably, right? I'm assuming season the game three, like the third game, is your Abby.
do you want me to
Maybe,
say
yeah, like sure.
it is that? Like that's what it's gonna be.
Oh, okay,
It's
okay,
for
okay,
sure gonna be probably 90% Abby led, if not
okay.
all. And then we're gonna see Ellie, but really from the perspective of like we're not rooting for her, or we don't even see Ellie that much. Just pops up. They're like, oh, get her, but we're not really spending. I feel like you still need some Bella, because then it's like Bella Ramsey. It's like, okay, I thought this was my show. Now I'm just taking the back seat for all of season three. But I think,
Right.
yeah, you're saying one episode, Abby. I think it'll be more than that because then it'd be
Okay.
rushing day one, day two, day three, all in one episode. I think at the very least it'll be like 2, 3 episodes, and then maybe episode four is when it leads up to that end of season two, and then we're seeing both of them eat 50-50 maybe. But we're at the very least
Okay.
half the season is Abby led, I think. Yeah. But like again, I think
Okay.
they're gonna make us like her or sympathize for her. They tried to do that with Cersei in Game of Thrones, though it didn't work with me. So we'll see what happens this go around. Because I still want Ellie to get revenge on Abby. Like you can't.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean I get it. Joel killed her dad, so technically it's like they're even in a sense. But we didn't bleed with Ellie for 2 seasons just to flip on a dime because this girl lost her dad. But maybe that's harsh. But sorry, Kathleen Dever or whatever, Caitlin Dever. Haven't seen Justified, so I don't have the attachment that maybe season three will provide. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, what else was there in that episode? So yeah, it ends with Jesse getting killed. That I was not happy with.
Hmm.
Um,
There's the whole subplot, Eric, with like the smart clicker. Like are they
yeah,
evolving? It's very minor, right? Very minor
for now,
subplot,
yeah.
but that was kind of cool. Like a lot of these shows do. The zombie, the virus. People, they don't put a focus on the actual zombies or infected. It's about the people. But then
Always.
where the clickers show up when they're needed, for a plot device, of course.
Yeah.
And the clicker action we got in this season was really cool. Think of episode 2, like when Abby's crawling along that fence, like they're
Yep.
trying to like get her, and it's like she's like crawling in the tunnel that the fence created, and then like the subway scene, the metro scene in Seattle was kind of cool and freaky.
Yep.
The clickers are scary. They're fast. Like that terrify me, right? Give me a Romero slow walking zombie any day over a freaking 28 days later rage zombie
Right.
or clicker from Last of Us, right? So,
I don't know, man.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say Jeffrey Wright with a Mauviel saucepan is arguably scarier than.
That was a good scene.
That scene was
Brutal,
so
but
good.
good.
I've always wanted a Mauviel saucepan. As he's heating it up, I'm like, oh my god, nothing good is coming out of this. Pans to the friggin' naked guy chained up in the corner. I'm like, oh my god. Uh, yeah, anyways. No, Jeffrey Wright. I'm calling right now. Jeffrey Wright is the big bad villain in season 3. I don't think it's that crazy of a call because he did have he turned on his people right when he got to Seattle for the first time. Like he came in an armored vehicle with a squad and then was meeting up with people, and they had this predetermined arrangement that he would turn on his folks, yeets a frag grenade in the truck, and just see you later, fellas. That was dirty business by JW, but yeah. I had no idea he was in the season. Would love to see him. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. It's good foreshadowing of his ruthlessness, right? That was a cool little flashback.
Yeah.
And we're big fans of Jeffrey Rush, and when he spits out dialogue, it's freaking amazing. He's got a great voice, candor,
100%.
diction, how he recites words. Anyways, great stuff. Overall, I really enjoyed this season. I don't get all the hate. I understand it's not season 1. I understand Joel isn't the main character. Joel was awesome in season 1, and he's good in the few episodes he's in the second season. But this was different, but still very enjoyable. Way overly hated.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I think to your point earlier about Pedro Pascal being killed off, I think this is probably why they casted him, right? Was and because of his schedule. Sorry, you mentioned that his schedule may be a factor. I think they knew, okay, we need someone who we're gonna kill off in season 2. And yeah, Pedro is beloved. He's also getting booked in every single movie and TV show role out there. So we're like, okay, this would be perfect. You do your 1 full season, couple episodes in season 2, and then it's not going to mess with your Marvel contract you just got for the next 5 to 10 years potentially. So worked out perfectly, and that's a good draw to bring people into this universe. It worked for season 1, and I hope they maybe keep bringing him back in a flashback episode here and there for season 3. I think was great stuff. I enjoy the season a lot too. I agreed with you, not as much as season 1, but still, every time that HBO logo popped up on screen, it was like, all right, phone away, dialed in, and there aren't that many shows nowadays that I can say do that for me. So Last of Us, kudos to you for getting me this immersed in the world, and introducing a lot of cool new characters and expanding on the world and giving us a few good villains now to hate on in season 3. Do you have any predictions for season 3, or have we kind of already parsed through them, you think?
Yeah, mostly what we already said. Now that I know, an Abby-focused season with Jeffrey Wright as the bad guy, even though they're both on the same team, there's obviously different factions in the WLF.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see some maybe fights versus the Scar. But, the Scars are so medieval. It's how do they even stand a chance? Let's
Right.
be real. Maybe clicker action, but that'll be more in the background for plot devices. I don't know. I still want to. What I want and predict is I still want to see some Ellie stuff peppered in there. Just not. It won't be the focus, but I'd still like to see what happens to her and Dina.
Yeah, I don't think you can just completely dismiss Ellie and Dina and Jesse at this point, right? Because we're going back in time, but
right.
Even maybe Tommy too. We're gonna follow him along as he's coming up on Seattle too, right? So. We'll see, but no, to your point about the Scars fighting against the Wolves, it's kind of like the Na'vi fighting against the people who are going in Avatar to destroy their tree with the bow and arrows. They're kind of just laughing as the arrows are hitting their robots, basically. That's just what it made me think of just now. But I think, team up with the Scars at some point. I could see an Ellie Abby team up of some sort, but I hope it ends with Ellie killing Abby. That's my ultimate call, or hope anyways. And it hasn't been renewed for a 4th season, but I feel like season 4 would be the most they could do. Because I don't there's not a 3rd game, and it looks like they're making the 2nd game into 2 seasons. So maybe it ends at season 3, or they push it for a 4th. I would not hate that, a 4th, but I don't think you go past that, because you don't want to get into Walking Dead territory where they went to season 29. So I think four would be good. I mean, honestly, with all these Walking Dead spin-offs, 29 is pretty accurate. You got a Daryl show,
You're
a Carol
on.
show, a Michonne show, Negan and what's her face there? Oh my God, Negan and Maggie have a show. There's Fear the Walking Dead. There's Walking Dead Los Angeles. Like, what are we doing here, fellas? Um, but
Shit, there's 5 spin-offs actually.
while we're on the topic though, like, and as you know, Matt, with my letterbox activity lately, I have been indulging in some zombie content. Yeah, a lot of it's formulaic. Like, there's the outbreak, then the trying to figure out where you're gonna fit in, like who's your squad. Then you get called to an encampment. Typically doesn't end up being what it seems to be. Then there's the hunt
Right.
for a cure. Last of Us kind of follows all those steps really, but I'm okay with it. And what I enjoy about Last of Us more than maybe those other movies is that the scope is bigger, and we're traveling a lot, seeing different scenery, more characters. You get to care for a lot of them, even the minor characters. Like, trying to think really off the top here, but I pretty much like every character. Like, okay, for example, Abby's crew even. Can't say I like them necessarily, but I was like, all right, what's the dynamic between Owen and what was her name there? The girl Mel. I didn't really like Nora. I loved when she got killed by Ellie. That was a great
You're right.
scene. But yeah, Owen and Mel, I was kind of down with them, being like, all right, they seem like reasonable folk. They let them go, right? I was surprised they let Ellie go, to be honest, and Dean. I'm like, just kill them all at this point, you know. But that was a bit surprising. But anyways, yeah, looking forward to seeing 28 years later.
Yeah, you've been watching. Maybe you'll talk about that for the recommendations. One in the first two.
Maybe.
Did you want to jump into the other TV show now?
Yeah, I think that's
You
it
ready?
for Last of Us. I'm looking forward to season 3. Hopefully, it's not too long,
Yeah.
like 2 years from now tops. All right, yeah. So
Your thoughts, yeah.
Andor, again, show we had to wait 3 years for the second season. The bar was set super high, and when we did our last Star Wars episode, we had tiered Andor as a Star Wars quality. I think like you can comfortably say S after season 2. I thought this was an
Oh, yeah.
amazing season of TV that I was looking forward to very much. Skeptical, not sure if it would reach the highs of season 1. It at the very least met them, if not eclipsed in certain ways. Like, this show is unbelievable. I love how they went about this season, giving us 3 episode mini arcs that span over a year or have a year in between all of them. And even if we go arc by arc here, or actually let's just go, what are your opening thoughts on season 2 of Andor?
Okay. Yeah, my opening thoughts, Eric. I freaking love this show. It's going to be very hard to not be in like the top of the year for me. My expectations were blown out of the water, like better than I expected. I look at the show as like 3 parts in my head for myself. The pre-Gorman stuff, which was good. The Gorman stuff, which was really, really good. And then like the aftermath of that, which I thought was phenomenal television.
Yep.
So like this season actually got better every episode for me, like in a nice little curve, which was perfect. And don't get me wrong, I like the start too. It just like, but everything got so much better as it went along. Eric, those last 3-4 episodes was like the best TV or movie stuff I've watched in a long time. Be it TV or movie, like it's some of the best shit I've seen in a long, long time. It's the writing, it's the way it's shot, it's everything, Eric. And I don't want to like, we'll go into detail more, but why don't you tee us up with like the first part?
Yeah, so the first part was for sure the weakest arc of the season, but there was quite literally 0% of me that was worried about season 2 after the first 3 episodes. And I'll tell you why. Because as was the case with season 1, it only got better as we went along. And sure, we're talking about the 3, 4, 5 episodes of Last of Us that were slow. This was slower, but was also necessary to tee up the progression of the rebellion, in that it was still in its very early days here, where at the end of season 1, we're really starting to see like who our key players are and who's committing to the cause. Andor's flipped now, he's all in. And now we're seeing him be a little more experienced. And when he crash lands on that planet, which we find out to be Yavin 4 later, we're seeing different sects that are also trying to rebel but have no organizational skills and are fighting amongst each other, not knowing who to trust, what's real, compared to where you need to be to have a successful rebellion, it's a clear contrast of where they need to get to based on where they were at the start. I honestly thought we were gonna see like one of those guys, the guy with the long hair. He's in a few things. Like he's in Never Have I Ever. Trent. I thought he was gonna show up later and be like fully bought in. Like, oh, I can't believe that's how I acted like 3 years ago, and look at me now, kind of thing. Didn't even
Okay.
need that, to be honest. It was fine. And then the other part I remember of those three is the Chandrillan wedding
Yeah.
festivities, which we're seeing Mon Mothma now interact with a bunch of people, um, and get funding and see like what's working, what's not with the rebellion, and kind of her like the shit that she's dealing with personally, that she's trying to keep under control while she's being the mastermind of the rebellion with Luthen. I'd say the two of them are
Yeah.
like the mother and father figures of the rebellion. And she's like at the end of episode 3 just drinking and dancing her sorrows away, and just like her whole world is crashing, but she has to keep a brave face on to make sure that this ship is steered in the right direction. She's the rudder of this ship. So I loved it. You can argue that yeah, it dragged on the wedding, but I didn't think so at all. I was all in the whole time. Anytime we get a chance to spend time with Perrin, I'm all about it. That guy just cracked me up for no reason at all. I just thought he was such an interesting husband character to Mon Mothma. And yeah, I mean, I think that's all there really was for those
Yeah.
3 episodes that I can recall. So, what are your thoughts on that arc?
At first, Eric, I was a little disappointed, but then, like you just explained beautifully, the reason they showed us these scenes is for that reason of showing showing the disorganization of the rebels at first, and like it's it's showing the struggles early on of how it eventually became, the Rebel Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Like we in 4, 5, and 6, we see the rebels are badass, they're organized. I never knew how hard it was to actually form this group and how big the scope is, right? Because even the rebels are not like in the last half of Andor. Luthen Rail isn't really looked at as like someone like he's not even known for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
This guy did so much work, but he's in the shadows, and only really like Mothma knows
Yeah.
how much he really did, and it's crazy. We'll get into Luthen after. That's like a whole. I have a lot to say on Luthen and other people,
Goat.
but now the first few episodes, I thought I was questioning it at first, then I realized what they were going for. Heated up nicely for what was to come. Mon has maybe arguably a harder job than Cassian at like maintaining a face in the Senate, and then doing all the stuff behind closed doors. Like she's immediately dead if she's captured by the ISB, right? She gets caught. Um, yeah, I
Yeah.
thought it was good. I love too this like in season 1 we see the bad guys more as on a human level behind the bureaucratic stuff of the Empire, which I love too. Like Deidre and Sarah's character, I thought were great in this season. I'm just gonna say it. I thought they were both excellent. I love seeing them. Um, we get introduced to this whole idea of they need this mineral from the planet of Gorman, which is a
Mm.
very successful planet. It has like a lot of textiles for fashion and stuff, and there's powerful people there. Isn't it scary that the ideas presented in this show are probably stuff that happened in real life where people need an excuse to go somewhere to grab resources, so they fabricate a reason, they install their own, they create a problem there so they can go in as the saviors. That was pretty scary, honestly, because who knows how many countries have done that in the past, right? Like especially in Africa, right? Like go
Mm.
grab all the diamonds and minerals there and
Yeah.
create conflict. That was pretty that was a pretty honestly a good move by the Empire to do that. Like that was smart what they did. I thought what they did was really smart, but extremely ruthless. And like Cheryl had no idea till the end, right? And Deidre couldn't tell him. And
Mm-hmm.
imagine not being able to tell the one you love, like, yeah, this is what we're doing here, and you're a puppet. So that was cool. Like, did you? I really liked the Gorman storyline, Eric. Yeah, with the like, I don't know, with the different things going on. I'm at a loss for words, guys, because a lot happens in these
Mm-hmm.
episodes, and it's fast paced and confusing. I remember talking to people at work; they were a little mixed up with this season at this point. Where, okay, what's going on? How come we're seeing the people that are rebelling in Gorman, and what's Cyril doing? What's Cassian doing? Okay, Cassian's in Gorman now for a bit as a designer. Like it moves very fast paced this season, but I mean, I followed everything and I thought it was really good. I like that political espionage intrigue stuff going on. What did you think, Eric?
Yeah, it was really good. I didn't really make the Africa comparison, to be honest. For me, Gorman was kind of, I thought Gorman was like a space France kind of thing. Like a, even though maybe the structure of the planet didn't have that vibe, it was more of like a fashion district, very successful, like
Right.
you said. And what ends up happening in the third arc with the true rebellion and the massacre was like seeing a world capital like Paris take a stand against the empire. That's why it meant so much. It's like, wow, like Gorman is getting hit like this, nobody's safe kind of thing. So that was kind of my take
Right.
on it. But you're right, like with the extraction of resources and just like their own hidden agenda, not explaining why they're doing things or what they are even doing, was really good.
Yeah.
I just before we get off the first arc, I just want to quickly say, gotta give a shout out to my dog Brasso, rest in peace. Hated to see him go out like that. Just a good lad. He kind of lied too to protect the farmers there, saying that like, oh, you turned on us, you gave us up, which was not the case, right? So he was kind of looking out for him. What a way to go out for that legend. And also Bix having to deal with that creepy officer there trying to get his hands on her. That was an intense series of events, and glad that it played out in her favor. And that scene set the tone for what it was going to be like this season, where they're dropping the R word out here, and like you don't expect to see that in Star Wars or any really Disney content out here. So Tony Gilroy was not playing around this season, and that scene really let us know, because as we move further in the season, like the massacre was, they did not really spare details and shy away from showing us like the atrocities that occurred out here. And like you said, is applicable to real life, very sadly. So crazy season. The Gorman arc I liked a lot. Again, it was this second arc was like the build up to the next one that was gonna be the all out massacre. I love the just I have friends everywhere. Like, Andor is just like you mentioned about Luthen, that not everyone knows him. Who does know him? Andor. He's his trusted number two. I need a guy to send somewhere to get a job done. Andor's my guy, and that was clear in this arc as well, where Andor's sent to Gorman. He's like, you guys don't know what you're doing here, trying to get this rebellion going. You're right. I feel like where I say I like the 1 year jumps, it kind of was a double edged sword, where at times I was like, all right, like what's happened in the last year? Why is Cyril and Gorman? What's his role now? Like you kind of have to be paying attention, following along, because if you blink, you miss stuff. It's a lot of these conversations that stuff is implied. It's not always just outright said. Like I am doing this. It's like you have to read between the lines, which is another reason why elevates this from any other Star Wars we really have. It's adult Star Wars. This is Star Wars after midnight, really. Is a way to describe it. So trying to think what else happened. So then Cinta's back also with Vel, and you just knew when you saw that drunk idiot walking down the street, I'm like, here we go, somebody's dying.
Yeah.
And when that one shot goes off, I'm like, what are the odds that this killed the girl who Vel thought she lost and she had a great night with the night before? Of course, rest in peace, Cinta. It's like you hated to see it, but you also knew every single 3-pack you were gonna lose at least one person. And my mind was like, all right, who's next now? Like which character that I like am I gonna have to mourn in episode 8 now, basically, right? So also, I think this was the start of the breakout of Clea in this season, was in this arc, where they went to the there's the gala where Orson Krennic is just rambling like a self-indulgent prick, really. And she's getting Lonnie to like cover her as she's taking out like a listening device or something like that from the antique. So there's a lot of good stress and build up for these kind of scenes. And she was I mean, you start to see her take on a bigger role in this arc, which sets the stage for the rest of the season for her, for sure. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the second arc.
You said a lot of great stuff there, Eric. The raid on the transport that led to Cinta's death, like that was a cool episode. behind the shadows, hit and run, but then, oh, of course, something's going to go wrong. That was cool. I'm going to repeat myself, but I can't stress enough, guys, how much I love the Imperial stuff behind the scenes, like their boardroom meetings and their like Partagas, like questioning them, like the whole when Lonnie speaks up and says something, and then it ends up being okay, and then everyone's like, okay, I'm glad you said something. He said like we're overworked or something, or stretched thin, or maybe that was the other guy who said that, and Lonnie agreed.
Yeah,
I can't remember. They're all like in their uniform, they're all the same to me. The whole, you know what I love about Andor? We're getting background information on the Death Star, on the creation of the Death Star, because this is ultimately what this is, the end game, you know? The secret project is that. I like that it's realistic, because not everyone even in the Imperial Security Bureau, right, the ISB, is going to know about this. It's so top secret because they don't want it to leak out that, like, I mean, Deidre has access. Well, no, she was actually digging, like, they all have different levels of security, which is realistic to us, right? In our government and other governments. What I like seeing that on this show, and seeing the level of detail they put into, like, okay, we need this mineral for the Death Star. We're gonna create this conflict on this planet to eventually take it over and basically fuck it up to mine it all, right? They're gonna be terraforming the planet to mine the resources, all for the mighty Death Star, all for Krennic. Krennic starts off pretty smooth in this season, but ends up being more and more unhinged as we go, right? I mean, you see him in Rogue One at the beginning, he's already, like, freaking out and scared that it's going to be wrestled away from him, which it does in Rogue One. Yeah. But that I love seeing here. Those are my favorite scenes with the bad guys. But are they really, like, is Cyril really a bad guy? No, in my opinion, he's not a bad guy. He just works for the Empire. But it's tragic what happens to him, you know, in the final scene in Gorman, the demonstrations, and Deidre Miro too, super career driven. What her tragic flaw is her overzealous work ethic and all that eventually leads to her downfall, right? Because she peaks where she's not supposed to. Lonnie figures it out, tells Luthen, you know, that whole thing, which was really cool, by the way. But that eventually leads to her downfall. It's kind of cool seeing that, like, it's Shakespearean in a way, right? Like, this is why I like Andor so much. It's like, it's for adults. It's Star Wars After Hours, where the themes are more adult and they're not spoon-fed to you. It's not all like flashes and lights and all that. It's very thought-provoking and well-written, and you have to figure it out for yourself. They don't spoon-feed you every answer. I love that stuff. The Gorman climax, to me, Eric, phenomenal television. The whole protest stuff, all the K2 units getting unleashed. I know they're not called K2 units, but they're like the killer droids being unleashed, one of them being K2 eventually. That was freaking, like, them just, like, throwing people in the crowd like crazy. I know this happens in real life, too, where enemy armies have gone in and they need an excuse to, like, invade. They'll say, oh, we got fired upon. Okay, now we go in and take over that group. You know, that's what happened here, where they had the one sniper shoot his own soldier to create that conflict. That happens in real life. I'm guaranteed. So, anyways, that was all good. Did you want to touch on the finale in Gorman, Eric?
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I guess I haven't really talked about Cyril and Deidre. Cyril sucks. Like, I hate the guy so much. The guy is an absolute simp. Just a beta.
Oh.
And, I mean, you understand where he comes from in that, like, he's just... His mom runs his show at age, 38 years old. He's still just, like, a full-blown whipped mommy's boy. I actually loved the scene where Deidre's like, all right, here's what we're going to do. This is how it's going to be going forward. You're going to take your death grip off of my boyfriend/husband's arms or whatever, and I'm going to be the one in charge going forward. But she also, like, I feel like that was also, like, Cyril's now going from his mom's clutches to Deidre's vice grip that he just has no say in, right? And that kind of is Cyril in a nutshell. He's just, while, yeah, he has a lot of redeeming qualities in that he is also very career-driven. He's a smart guy, sees through the cracks and finds the little details that others might overlook. But he, at the end of the day, just has no self-esteem, I feel like, and was just made to be woman-handled. that scene where he gets home and she's like, turn off the lights, and then like I'm like, oh god, like I don't even want to know what happened that night. It's just shivered. But yeah, no, the finale in Gorman was unbelievable. I thought that was gonna be the best episode of the season, but it just kept getting better and better. Episode 8, unreal, where like the shots start firing. You got Andor and his mission to kill Deidre, and then, speaking of Cyril, the final build-up that brings these two characters together, where you could argue like Cyril is the anti-Andor. He's just Andor from the Empire's perspective, and he's finally has him in his eyesight and lunges at him, and they have this dragged out fight scene, fisticuffs, which I really enjoyed. And then just hilarious where Andor, like when Cyril has the drop on him, he's like, who are you? Like he has no clue who Cyril is. And Andor has literally been Cyril's fixation for the last, what, half a decade at this point, and Andor just doesn't even know he exists. That just must have been such a gut blow, gut punch to Cyril. Where it's like, I've been obsessing over this guy, and I finally have him. He has no clue who I am. And then the other guy kills him as he's like, when he hesitates. Loved that death scene. It was great. But yeah, that episode was unbelievable. And then episode 9 had Mon Mothma deliver her big speech to the Senate, outing the Emperor, and then again Cassian swoops in, escorts her to their escape route, where I guess Bail Organa had set up an escape route, but there's an inside job from, I guess, the Empire to kill her on that escape route. So Andor swoops in, hits her with the "Welcome to the Rebellion" line, and it was just kill. Like that whole, again, the suspense, the thriller element that we had on that whole escape sequence was so good. Edge of my seat. The thing is, you know both of them are going to be safe. You're fine. I was just always thinking about the other characters, right? Like Clea, Luthen, Bix. And again, I'm pretty sure episode 9 ends with Bix leaving, right? Yep, Bix departs during the night. That was rough, but also at the same time, best case scenario where you know in Rogue One that she's not around. I assumed she was going to get killed, but this was kind of like a perfect way to just send her off somewhere safe and leave Andor in the rebellion, because he was debating. I was kind of confused at first as to why she was leaving, because she seemed dialed into the rebellion, but I guess she knew she was pregnant too, so that makes sense. But she knew that if Cassian left the rebellion, that they would then lose like a valuable ally, and that they maybe wouldn't win. So that was great. And last thing with Bix too, the end of, I think it was episode 6, when her and Cassian go into the Imperial facility and she tortures the guy who tortured her, and then they blow up the building. That was so badass. I was fired up heading into week 3 of Andor.
And they walk out like, yeah, that was really ice cold. And,
oh yeah,
that was beautiful. I thought she was gonna die too, honestly, because in Rogue One he's all interested in Jyn, right? So
yeah.
No, that was
guy's
that was
a dog.
Good curveball. Yeah, the episode with Mon and Cassian's escape. What I liked about that, is just the look of like this, like just the setting and the production design. I thought was super cool, and like the like those giant stairs, and I thought the design of Coruscant, basically where I'm getting at, it was really cool in this season, seeing stuff we hadn't seen before in other movies or shows, but like a Coruscant that's more slick, and like the rich part of Coruscant, basically with Mon and all that. I thought that was really cool. The society, like even the wedding in episode 3, her daughter's wedding, I believe, that was really cool to see. I like Clea's shop, with the antiques, which is a front, obviously, but that's really cool. And you talked about Cyril and Cassian. To go to the third part of this season now, like the meeting between Deidre and Luthen, that was really cool. That mirrors the other two, right? Because he's her obsession, right? I forget what she calls what's her code name for Luthen? It's
Axis.
Do you remember? Axis, yeah, like she's looking for him the whole time. That was a really cool scene where Luthen knows he's doomed. He's already like burning the stuff in the back, but he's kind of like stalling and playing. They're basically fencing with words there, and it's awesome. And like he grabs the knife, hands it to her, she hands it back to him. He's turned around, cuts him. Like that was pretty freaking awesome for me, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Just quickly, did you like the Deidre Luthen confrontation?
Well, you know when that happens that it's not good news for our boy Luthen Rael, and I love
Yeah.
how he's like, I don't even know why he answered the door to begin with. Like I'm just like, yo, keep pouring that acid on the keyboards. They're like, burn the evidence. He knew he was
Right.
doomed, right? Because I think he told Clea like, just get out, because I'm screwed. So, and that episode actually was the entire back and forth between her origin story and how she became like his adopted daughter. So good. But yeah,
That's
no,
right.
Luthen, great way to go out. Like you hate to see it, but you knew he was gonna die, right? Like I would have been so shocked if he made it through this entire show alive. And then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, where was he at the boardroom table or the war room discussions, right? Like we had Sir Barristan in Rogue One. Like I'm pretty sure Luthen would have been at this table if he was still around. So you knew he was doomed. Actually, the episode starts off with him killing Lonnie after he gets the information from him. That was also ruthless. He's like, who else other than you
It
knows
was.
this? Like, no one, I swear, you're dead. Like, that's a
Yeah.
no-brainer. You know he's
Yeah.
not letting anyone else find out about this and wants to be the only one controlling information. That was his character in a nutshell. Like, he wants to be in control, but also had a good sense of what it took to lead the rebellion. And if you could become a liability, you had to go. And that did not exclude himself. So you got to respect Luthen at the end of the day, where he'll do whatever it takes to see the rebellion win, to see the rebellion through, and sacrifice his own life. So yeah, no, Deidre, yeah, she got her little win, but ultimately she lost in the end. Even
Mm-hmm.
though, and it's like you said, Krennic was a big part of that downfall too, where he completely misread the situation, and a poor CCing happening on an email is what led to Deidre's downfall. And I can't say that I didn't love to see it. But no, Luthen, beast way to go out.
Yeah.
Sucks that Clea had to be the one to pull the plug on him, but she also was raised like to be like him and do what it takes, even if it means killing your surrogate father. Yeah, well, let's talk about that episode though. The
Yeah. Let's do it.
nurse
The
Clea
origin. Yeah.
and yeah, origin. What are your thoughts on that whole?
That that may have been the best episode. Honestly, I thought that episode was phenomenal. The juxtaposition between her youth and what she's doing now, her infiltrating the hospital was so clinically like
Pun
beautifully
intended.
done in terms of like ultimate stealth mode. Oh my god, it was amazing. No one's gonna suspect someone that looks like that to be able to like like as soon as she's in the nurse's scrubs, it's like
Yeah.
yeah, no one's gonna question her. She was perfect. That was perfect. And it's very sad that her origin story really, and like the scene where there's like someone publicly getting executed,
Mm.
and I think she wants to see it, but Luthen's like, no, like we don't want to. Like that was pretty intense. And the scene at the diner where Luthen like blows up something, or at a restaurant he blows up something, and he's like, they don't even move. Like
Yeah.
that was her whole upbringing and training was cool. Um, she's a character that I never really put any thought into, like in season one and even at the beginning of season two. But the more they showed her on screen, the more I was very interested in her character. That actress did an amazing job portraying her.
Oh yeah.
Again, though, the hospital seemed very cool. I liked also like the fallout. Like you had the hospital director there fighting with the ISB,
Yeah.
and like there's a lot of, that was cool. That episode, Eric, to me flew by because it was so enjoyable and thrilling. That's all I gotta say, honestly, on it. Short and sweet.
So good. I mean, nothing really to add. Just probably my favorite episode too, or top three, no doubt. She was so
Yeah.
good, and like I said, no doubt breakout character of this season. I was a big fan of, like, obviously last season you get to like Andor a lot. Luthen, Bix was good. I like Brasso as well. Those would probably be my big four. Actually, Mon Mothma. Everyone's good in this show. That's the thing. But I think
She was good.
Elizabeth Dulot's Clea was definitely a breakout star of this season. Most improved player, no doubt. Because yeah, in season one, she's really just playing a background role. She's like, you don't really know what her relationship is with Luthen, and she's kind of pulling a bit of the strings and setting things up and putting people in positions, but here she took action. I think that's the biggest difference. She was more of a passive, like, okay, this is where you need to go, or I'm handing this information off to this person here in season 1. Or in season 2, it was like, I'm going in, taking this listening device out. I'm going in and murdering like 12 ISB officers, stormtroopers in scrubs, looking good while I do it, and no one's gonna stop me. So it was just like a great, great episode for her. Super happy she survived. I honestly thought she was gonna get killed in the next episode when she was pinned in that apartment. Didn't know that she was gonna get out. Honestly,
That was cool. Yeah.
glad that she did with the help of Cassian, obviously, Melshi, and then K2. That was a great sequence to get out of there. And they killed another one. I don't really know his name, but he was like just a recognizable officer who went in. You knew his face. Right. Like, this guy. And then he got killed at K2. I think it was like holding him up as a meat shield, like you saw in Gears of War. It was unreal to see. So, no, this arc was crazy. And then I don't really know what else to add, really, for episode 11. And then, 12. It was a great finale. I mean,
it transitions into, like, maybe 11 and 12 aren't super action-packed, but they're transitioning into, like, Rogue One beautifully. And I think a lot of the action in the last few episodes aren't necessarily big gunfights, but, like, good conversations and everyone's at Yavin, you know, like, the whole grouping of everyone at the end was kind of cool.
Agreed.
The rescue of Clea, though, in the apartment, right? Because Cassian and Melchi go there to get her back with K2. That was really cool. Love seeing K2 because, you know, he's in Rogue One. You're like, okay, where's he going to show up? Because, like, you look at, they always tell you, like, how much time is left. BBY, which is before the Battle of Yavin at the end of A New Hope, which is super cool. And I didn't even figure that out right away. I had to look that up. But, you know, there's not a lot of time left. So that's, I love that the season did that. But anyways, K2 is really cool when he's in the stolen, the Imperial transport ship. Like, he's like, all right, what do I do? They're not responding. And then he just decides to go in himself. That was really cool. Yeah. Like a walking Hulk.
Oh, yeah.
Badass. This makes it even more sad in Rogue One when he gets killed. He's a robot. I shouldn't care about him getting killed, but I do. This whole show makes Rogue One even better. And the ending of Andor season 2, it's just Cassian getting info on Guerrera's boy who wants to, like, dish out some information on Kafrene about, like, Bodhi getting kidnapped, right? Like an Imperial pilot. Or maybe they only find out in Rogue One. Just quickly, I like that Lonnie gives Luthen that message about, like, the Death Star, Galen Erso, all that in, like, a couple words, and then he gives it to Clea, and then Clea gives it to Cassian. Like, that's one of the most important pieces of information, and it was passed telephone style through people. That was cool. Just want to go back to the Lonnie Luthen bench conversation. The way Luthen played Lonnie was perfect because it's like, Lonnie knew not to say too much or he'd get killed and his family too. But he wanted to give enough so Luthen could trust him, and Luthen just played him like a fiddle, and it was beautiful for Luthen, not so much for Lonnie. Just want to say that.
Agreed.
But yeah, the ending is good. The ending is good, Andor. Yeah. But it's really like, watch Rogue One right after. It's even better. Everyone's together. It explains Rogue One a little more too, where the rebels are still, like, indecisive, like, to agree upon they don't want to always agree on the same thing. Like, they have a council and they're always butting heads, which we see in Rogue One. So I like seeing that. I don't know what else to add. Just that this show gives us way more background on the Death Star and the Rebel Alliance, the creation of it. It's very much appreciated. I want to see more stuff like this than necessarily, like, you can give us new storylines further down in the timeline, but I like when they're filling holes in the stories and in the gaps like this, like Clone Wars, the TV show, did. This is more the content I want to see. Yeah, it's predictable because we know eventually the Empire is going to fall, but still great television, right, Eric? And the characters that we don't know if they're going to live or die. Not like we know when Cassian's going to die, but not some of these smaller players. And that Melchi character, like, he's in, like, Rogue One way more than I thought after watching this show, right? And he's even in the jail in season 1, right? Yep. That's awesome to see. I like little, not Easter eggs, but I like little things like that. Uh, did you want to touch on Wilmot and Guerrera, like that weird stuff going on,
So
or
I was
go
literally gonna
for it?
say I feel like that's the story that didn't really lead anywhere the most, right? Like I thought when I think it's the sixth episode, one of the endings is Willem's like just sniffing that gas, and I thought he was kind of gonna be like a Saw Gerrera Jr., right? Like he would look like him and kind of become a little deranged because he Saw made him an addict at the end of that episode, and a year's gone by and he's just like can't go a few hours without a taste, right? But really, nothing really changed with him. Like maybe he was there, like he caught like a radio frequency one time that informed him that someone was in trouble. I think it's him who heard that Clea was in trouble. I think that was his biggest contribution down
Yeah,
the line.
yeah,
Yeah, I even saw underwhelming his storylines whenever he'd pop up. I never was that gripped, and I was like, all right, is he gonna go
yeah.
off the rails? And he even killed the guy who was being trained to use those devices. I kind of saw that coming that he was gonna kill him. Like, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to say about him to be honest because he didn't really do that much. He was just like they kept peppering him in there every now and then. Like, yeah, Saw is doing something here too, going rogue, doing his own little thing with his group of fanatics. And yeah, that's what I was expecting was Willem to go down a darker path, which he, I mean, fortunately avoided, but could have been cool to maybe see him deteriorate due to being exposed to that darker side of the rebellion that our characters are not a part of. So that's kind of what I saw coming, but didn't happen. But I was also like, I didn't. There's so many other characters that I'd much rather spend time with than them that did not care whatsoever that we didn't see that happen. Like that's what I was gonna say. Really is I struggle to think of another show where I just mentioned The Last of Us has a good supporting cast. Andor is almost all supporting characters, and
Yes.
there aren't that many of them that you're like, oh, here we go. Like I'm spending 15 minutes with them now. It's always like, oh, like what's gonna happen here? Even Cyril, like I say, I hate the guy, but it's still interesting to see like what he's dealing with and what he's cooking up in his little weird brain part of guys like whoever it is like I was dialed in and wanted to be with them. Like it was never boring, so there's not that many shows you can truly say that about. Even Game of Thrones at the height of its powers, there's always some storylines you didn't really care about, and that was not the case with Andor. Another reason why S tier Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Another another scene that makes it S tier is like Crank and Dedra, like him explaining to her like what she did and what happened. Her ending up in the same jail as Cassian in season one. Like that was a great conversation. But and you can
so
see
good.
Krennic slowly like this Krennic transitions beautifully in Rogue One Krennic, like I said before, because of the slip up that happened. And it's these slip ups that allowed maybe Grand Moff Tarkin to be like, no, like I'm taking everything from you. Or maybe that was his plan all along, and he just needed someone to oversee the project for him, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was excellent. Part of guys like I knew he was going to do what he did. Like as soon as he
Yeah.
asks the guy for a moment and shoots himself, like there always needs to be a fallout guy, right? Someone needs to. It was either that or jail, kill himself or go to jail, so
Yeah.
or get executed. Like that showing that like not that the empire is disorganized, but showing the different levels in the empire and what people know, and yes, you can still be very much like in trouble in your own. Uh, the Empire is just as tough as they're on their own employees as there are on the rebels. Like they don't take shit from anyone. Like you fucked up, you're out. I like seeing that. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna close it out with saying Andor season 2 was one of the best, if not the best show I watched on TV so far this year.
Yep.
It's gonna be very hard for another Star Wars show to be better than it. It's sad that there's only 2 seasons, but I think 2 seasons is going to be looked back as like the perfect amount because it rolls right into Rogue One, which I watched right after season 2 because I think that's going to be obligatory now. Like before watching Rogue One, you watch a bit of Andor season 2. It's just great television, great storytelling, characters, action. It's like a roller coaster ride, but with like cool dialogue and conversation and characters instead of just space action, space opera action, right? So
Yeah.
really enjoyed Andor season 2, Eric. I was very happy with it.
Well said. Yeah, for me, I'll just close out Andor by saying that when they announced the Andor show, obviously not something that really moved the needle for many of us. I think it's fair to say, and I believe in one of our Star Wars episodes we were saying like, make us care about Andor, teach us more about the rebellion and what it took to get into it. I don't know. There was a lot of mystery around it. We didn't really know what we'd get. I don't think there's a single person out there that expected to get this caliber of television and Star Wars television, which has been hard to deliver on in the Disney era. There's been a lot of hits, a lot of hits, a lot of misses. Just Star Wars in general. This is its biggest hit since 2015, since it's gone back on the screen for us in the Disney Star Wars era. So,
Yeah.
couldn't have asked for more out of this show, honestly. Like, just tip of the hat to the production crew. Tony Gilroy, like I said, hopefully not the last we've seen of him in Star Wars or whatever he turns out next. I'm there day one. No questions will be asked going forward. Unreal. Cassian is a legend, and everyone else. Like, I feel like this show also might have made stars in, like I said, Elizabeth Dulot. I feel like she'll be getting roles offered left and right. Genevieve O'Reilly and Adria Arjona, who plays Bix. Like, she looks like she's got the world in the palm of her hands right now. Like, there's rumors of her being cast as Wonder Woman. I could totally see that. I mean, she's definitely someone who's gonna benefit from having been on this show. I guess the most. And Diego Luna, honestly, killed it. I hope he gets offered more roles going forward as well. Those are my closing thoughts on it.
Yeah, Diego is a big star in Mexico, but he hasn't really hit the world stage like some of his like countrymen, right? So, yeah, he's good. Apparently, he's a class act too in real life out here. Like, super nice guy. Like, he has that reputation, so that's awesome to hear.
I could see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's it on Andor. Great show, and same with Last of Us. Great show as well. So can dive into some recommendations, Matt. Anything that you wanted to share with the people?
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend a show on Netflix. Talk about another show now. It's called Department Q. It's a
Nice.
Netflix series.
Nice.
It's British or Scottish, actually. It's a crime show. It's basically this unit is created in this police department to look at like cold cases that weren't solved, and it's about this main character played by Matthew Good, this inspector. Matthew Good's an actor you've seen before. I can't think of a character he's played. Like, he was in Watchmen, The Imitation Game. What else was he in? Anyway, just Google Matthew Good, Eric. You might recognize him from some stuff. It's about him working this one case, which ends up being pretty intense, this case. I'm not going to get into it all to say that this is a series based on a series of books, and it's about this one department, Department Q, and this inspector with his, there's a lot of good side characters too, but it's a pretty good crime show, Eric. Not fast-paced or action-packed, but really good dialogue and acting, and honestly, ultimately, where it goes with the case they're working on, it's really not just creepy, but also like very fulfilling in the end, and a good resolution. And I can see them being more seasons on different cases, basically. So Department Q, it's a really good show. British or Scottish television, they always do high quality content. So I recommend that one, Department Q.
Yeah, I don't really recall. Oh, Ozymandias, this guy? Yeah, okay, I think I know who this guy is. But no, I've seen this on Netflix be pretty highly rated. Obviously, Netflix pushes their product and they promote it heavily, but I've heard good things online, so I'm glad to hear that you enjoyed it. We'll look to add this one to the list after Adolescence, of course, that I've not really gotten into yet, but a lot of good, like Netflix, they're just pumping out shows. I feel like that's kind of their bread and butter now. You don't see too many great movies streaming on Netflix, but they're constantly putting out shows that, if, as listeners know, always end up on Matt's top 10 list any given year. So I'll look to add this one onto mine, hopefully, alongside potentially Last of Us and Andor, and go from there. So no, good stuff. I'll actually throw, I was debating recommending this, but I'll do it now, another Netflix show as well that I actually talked about last year but didn't finish the season, and now I've gone back and finished the season, and now I'm on season 2. Matt, you actually did the same. I wonder if you've indulged in season two. Shane Gillis's Tires. Have you seen season two of Tires on Netflix?
I have not actually.
Okay.
Tell me about it. Oh,
So I'm halfway through season two. It's actually hilarious. Like I strongly recommend you get back into it. It's a very dumb show. It's basically about these guys that work in a auto shop. It's struggling. They're trying to find ways to keep this place relevant and boost their sales. And they eventually land on a promotional tactic to get people to do work on their cars is sell tires for cheap. So whenever someone needs work, they're like, "Hey, I notice your rotaries or whatever." I don't really know the terms here, but they're just trying to sell tires as they get people to replace their brakes or whatever. There's a loose valve, so it's really led by Shane Gillis, who's a pretty famous comedian. The supporting cast is pretty good, and they actually have a lot of guest stars that appear in most of the episodes in season two. They're I don't know his name, but the guy who he's in like Seinfeld and in Friends. In Friends, he's this cocaine addict who goes to Monica's house where she's trying to get a spot in his restaurant. She's like cutting up tomatoes, and he asks her like, "How are you gonna cook them?" She's like, "I'm thinking julienne." He's like, "Oh," he's like, "All right, I'm out of here." Do you remember? Like, you know the guy? If you saw his face, you know what I'm talking
Dan
about.
Castellana.
Possibly. Like I don't
Yeah, I
know,
think
but it sounds about right.
that's Homer Sim. That's the guy who voices Homer Simpson. Yeah, Dan
Really?
Castellana.
Oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Just Google like, yeah. If you Google, just Google Homer Simpson voice. That guy, Dan something.
Okay, well
He's
now
the
that you
guy
say it, I can
in
see it.
Friends. Yeah,
Homer. Okay, I'm just gonna take your
it.
word for it. Homer Simpson voice. Oh no, it's not him. Wait.
I thought that was the guy in Friends who
No.
does like the tomato thing. I know who you're talking about in Friends.
Anyways, so
Doesn't matter.
great show, honestly. Like, easy 20-some-minute comedy. Thomas Hayden Church is in season two in like a recurring role as Shane's father. So there's just actors like that pop up every now and then. I'm not gonna spoil a few of the bigger names there, but it's really funny, Matt. It's definitely dumb at times and frustrating. It's like it could be seen as a poor man's The Office, but I found myself dying of laughter watching this a couple of times. So
Okay.
would recommend Tires season two and go back to season one. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that out. I did finish. I'm not going to talk about it, but I did enjoy the ending of Your Friends and Neighbors. I
Okay.
finished that. That was really good.
Nice.
Yeah. Very happy with that.
Nice.
Um, I'll talk about two movies just back to back quickly. I don't want to ramble on for too long, but I watched Disney Plus Predator, Killer of Killers.
Nice.
It's an animated Predators movie, 80 minutes long, Eric, of just pure action. You should just check it out. It's super easy to watch, and it's segmented into like different different stories, with all involving a predator, and then they all tie in at the end.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a spoiler, but that's what I'm telling you. It's really, it's like I said, super fast paced, Eric, and action packed. You should check it out. It's very fun. You like animated stuff, you'd enjoy it, you'd appreciate it. The next one is Black Bag. It's a movie with Michael Fassbender and Kate Blanchett. It's directed by Steven Soderbergh. He's hit and miss nowadays, but he has a very, very good track record, good career. Black Bag is a spy movie, an intrigue movie without any gunfights or big action sequences. The action in this movie is all conversations and revelations and digging through dirt to find out what people's intentions truly are. It's a really cool movie, honestly. I really enjoyed Black Bag. But again, like, it's a movie where if someone saw it at the theater, they might be disappointed because it's like, all right, it's just people talking. But to me, it was super intriguing because it's all about figuring out who the bad guy is and what's going on. And kind of like, by the end, you can rewatch the movie through a different set of eyes, knowing the revelations at the end, which is really cool when movies do that. So really enjoyed the movie Black Bag. Didn't know anything about it. Really enjoyed it. So yeah, those two movies I highly recommend.
Nice. I definitely have wanted to watch Black Bag. I'm waiting for it to be on streaming somewhere. And yeah, Predator, Killer of Killers, like right up my alley. I'm gonna check it out soon. No doubt.
Okay.
Love to hear that.
Nice.
Yeah, I've watched a couple of movies lately. Like I said earlier, 28 Days Later, I definitely recommend. Really good zombie movie directed by Danny Boyle, who now that I saw his filmography, makes sense why the style looked so familiar. It was like it reminded me of 127 Hours, the way it was filmed, where 28 Days Later was not filmed on a camcorder. Like it doesn't have that like handheld first person point of view, but the shaky cam employed, the cuts, the editing, the flashing lights, like it was very reminiscent of 127 Hours. So yeah, 28 Days Later, it's a zombie outbreak movie, apocalypse movie starring Cillian Murphy, Naomi Harris, and Brendan Gleeson, who are the three main actors in it. Just seeing how they move through this ravaged world in the early days of a zombie apocalypse, meeting new people, learning to trust others, seeing what it means to live in this new reality. I thought was super interesting and cool. And what I really enjoyed about this movie was the atmosphere, how like it's raining a lot at times. You really feel like you're in the trenches. There's a zombie around the corner with you, with the frantic editing adds to the layers of horror in this movie. And I'll say the ending of the movie, unreal. Like I said in my review, it bumped it up a half star for me. And the score is sinister. And the main theme song for all these 28 whatever movies is so cool. Like they had the same soundtrack in 28 Weeks Later, which I think was not as good as 28 Days Later. Still cool, but yeah, 28 Days Later, definitely recommend. It's on Crave. Check it out if you can stomach a zombie movie. Like I don't think it's that gruesome or scary, but it's definitely a horror movie, so proceed with caution. But yeah, no, I'm really excited to see 28 Years Later. I'm expecting I like it more than 28 Weeks Later, but I don't know if it'll be as good as Days. That's kind of my projection for the rankings of these movies. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on both of them, Matt? I'm assuming you've seen both.
Yeah, it's been years, but I thought the first one's like a horror classic in that genre.
Yeah.
And the second one, I remember just not liking it as much, but I'd have to rewatch them because they'd basically be first-time watches. I just remember the first one, very sad in some parts, especially with the scene with Brendan Gleeson. I remember it was pretty, like, upsetting. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even know who Naomi Harris was at the time when I watched the first one, but yes, I picture her now as the daughter or, you know, the girl that accompanies him. And Cillian Murphy, didn't really know who he is when I first watched it, too, honestly. I saw this when I was young. Like, I didn't know who any of these people were.
Right.
I remember he's by himself at the beginning, and there's just the running zombies, and that terrified the shit out of me. Because imagine walking in a deserted place, and a mob is running after you. Oh, my God, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Yeah. So, yeah, first one's great, second one's good. Third one probably better than number 2, but probably not as good as number 1. So I hear decent things about this new one. So,
which is encouraging right there. Did you have anything else you wanted to recommend?
I think I'm good for now. I watched a lot of stuff, but nothing I feel the need to talk about. I'm reading a really good book right now, but I'm gonna wait till I'm further into it or finished it before talking about it.
Okay, well I'll jump in.
I'm back into reading though.
Love to hear it. I'll recommend a book then, Dark Force Rising, which is the second book in the Thrawn trilogy that I talked about last year that I'd read the first one. Dark Force Rising pretty much picks up right away, right after the first one, which it had been months since I read it, so I was kind of forgetting a few things, but it kind of catches you up to speed. These new characters introduced to, like Card Talon or Talon Card, Jara Maid, Jade Mara. Anyways, weird names in there. And there's another one too. There's another Jedi in this who's like, you're not sure if he's good or bad or not. Really cool stuff. And a lot of why I want to talk about this is that a lot of what's in this book and in the previous one, I think are going to be events that they reshape a little bit for the Ahsoka series. Like I could see where there's at least one character either makes an appearance in Ahsoka season 2 or the Balin character goes down the path that this character is going on. So I can definitely see where, like, if they name drop the name of the Jedi in this book, like, I'll know specifically, like, okay, like, this might have been his apprentice in another time or something like that. So it's cool to learn about that lore where they're going on these, like, Mount Tantis, different places where there's these mystical forces, like, of the Father, the Son, which we saw in Clone Wars too, but is fleshed out in this book, which interestingly enough, I didn't realize how much of Clone Wars drew from these books. Like I thought Thrawn initially was like an original character, but no, he's been around since the 80s or 90s, even whenever this was written. So there is a lot of lore that I'm really enjoying learning about in this book, Dark Force Rising, and I'm looking forward to seeing if any of it pops up in season 2 of Ahsoka, and if they ever do a Thrawn movie, like his kind of henchman, Captain Pelion. We'll see if he comes up. It's just cool to get in the mind of Thrawn, and like just Luke, Han, Leia, their stories. Lando's in here too. I like being in this world. It's fun.
Damn, that sounds really. I've heard about this trilogy. I think.
Yep.
Possibly. Yeah.
Yep.
I heard about it, but yeah, you'll have once you finish it, you'll have to. I'll have to seriously consider reading it. Honestly, I still want to read that Fourth Wing. Those Fourth Wing books. So.
Would recommend.
Okay.
If you have a
Good
local
stuff,
library around, man, I would definitely recommend getting on that wave and request some books be sent there. So it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Last thing, just
Yeah,
quickly,
good.
if anyone wants some activities to do, getting back into the tennis game, played some this morning, 7 a.m. Tip off. Great time, great way to start the day, and nice to do different physical activity too. Like I've been golfing a lot, so playing ultimate frisbee, but getting different sets of muscles activated and like hand eye, I feel like is a good thing to do. So I would recommend tennis. Anyone who hasn't dabbled much or at all this year. It was my first time playing this morning, and something I want to get into a little more. So putting it out there. If you're looking for a tennis playing partner, just let the homie know, and we can coordinate somewhere around the Ottawa area. Man, that's it.
Great
160.
recommendation.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's it there for episode 160. Again, great work, Matt. Getting to 160, massive accomplishment. Looking forward to seeing what the 160s have in store for us. I have seen Thunderbolts too, but I want to talk about that in our upcoming Marvel episode when everything is out for the year. We can recap everything. So that should be out at some point in July, August, I think. When Fantastic Four is out, we've seen it. We'll do a full, like, even Superman, get that in there. State of the Union for comic book. So, yeah. Any final notes for the listeners?
So thank you everybody for listening. I appreciate everyone who listens to the show. I hope you enjoyed our talk today on these two TV shows. Hope you're enjoying summer right now, and thank you very much for listening to the podcast. Really appreciate it.
Well said, Matt. So yeah, thanks a lot everybody for listening. Stay tuned for episodes dropping every 2 Mondays. Continue to enjoy your summer. We'll get out there on the tennis court, and yeah, peace.